like to call the Village Bartlett Bike and Run Plan Advisory Committee on July 9th, 2026. We'll do a roll call.
Barry Kroll. Here. Dan Palmer. John Getz.
Here.
John Batterman.
Here. Thank you. All right, I'd like to motion to approve the March 26, 2026 meeting minutes. We have someone to...
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Barry, second by John. I get a roll call on that.
Barry Kroll.
Yes.
John Getz.
Yes.
John Batterman.
Yes. All right, thank you. We will open it up for public comment. Let's see. Go ahead, Terry.
Terry Witt, 471 South Western Avenue. Okay. One of the neat things that I see when I'm riding around town is we have a police bike patrol. And it'd be really cool if we had a representative from the police patrol sitting over here amongst all of our staff to kind of give us an update of what they see, because they're out there all the time taking a look. So I think they'd be a good addition, especially considering all of the new laws that are going to be coming into effect, and they're going to be kind of charged with enforcing some of them. And so what they see and what they do would be good information for.
I like that idea. They just started, right? Like this week? I don't know if anybody knows. I just saw the post on Facebook 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea. Let's invite them to the next.
Yeah, they've been around, they were around last year on e-bikes and stuff. So, I mean, this is a really good interim information on bike safety in Bartlett. It really is well written. Of course, I had to throw in 2 comments. One, on the discussion when a bicyclist is passing a pedestrian, that they announce their passing, let the pedestrian know. Because what I find is it will often start a little tiny conversation, which is a good thing, to have a good rapport between pedestrians and bicyclists, and that's pretty good. And I know Barry was at one time trying to figure out how to get bells out there, and ringing a bell, if you got one when you're passing somebody, is, it's the neighborly thing to do. So anyway, I would add that as a comment in the future. But I mean, this thing is really good. And the other comment is about riding on sidewalks. While I agree, for adult bicyclists, that's a good idea. But we do have some areas where we have sidewalks that are connecting parts of the bike path system, like over on Stearns Road and on Schick Road and different places like that. So I'm sure that our police would use a little judgment that says, well, yeah, but that sidewalk, it's silly to jump off onto the road for a block and a half when there isn't probably any pedestrians on that sidewalk at all. So anyway, that's good. And the other thing is just what I was mentioning before the meeting started, is that December is going to be a chaotic period of time, and I think getting the meeting schedule fixed ahead of time before we get into that time period will help give everybody an idea of what's coming up. Because this past year, we went 6 months without a meeting. And I don't think that's a good idea with all the stuff coming down the pike through the state. So, anyway, and the Park District is doing a really good job. Thanks for coming.
All right, thank you, Terry.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with the communication on the road, on the left, right? As you're passing someone on the left. Maybe better than a ding or a bell. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, let's get it on record.
Has instituted a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit on the Prairie Path. And I think we've talked about speed limits in the past, but given the fact that there's so many high-speed people, just a reminder and saying, hey, especially with the e-bikes, can go up to 20, but maybe kind of a word to the wise to the people that are riding the e-bikes that, okay, you could go 20, but come on, bring it back down to 15 when we're on the path. It also helps with the communication with the pedestrians because I know a lot of times I'll have to say to especially the older people on the path, I say, I see you, I'm not going to run you over. And then they giggle. So.
We don't have any of the Prairie Path going through Bartlett, right? Technically, there's...
It's right on the very edge, yeah, the far west side. I don't know if we have a corner of it comes through right at Stearns, but yeah, I don't think.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
I'm sure speed limits will come up as part of this.
Yeah.
And I agree with the December meeting. So if it's during the holiday, if we want to bump it up a week, I'll work with Kim on that as it gets a little closer. All right, thank you, Terry. Anybody else? Otherwise, we have 2 emails. I'm going to turn it over to Brian to give us a quick update on those. Or go ahead.
Yeah, if you'd like, I can go through them, or if we want to just add to the minutes.
That would be good. I haven't had a chance to read them. These are
Okay, yeah,
recent.
I can talk you through. This first one doesn't have a name or address or anything. Just to briefly summarize, we'll add the full text to the minutes. But to briefly summarize, this person is requesting information about adding a bike path on South Bartlett, north of where it turns off, right by the stables. Yeah, they're requesting just extending that bike path north to commute to the train and visit downtown Bartlett. If we want to talk about that before I move on to the next email.
North of that is all sidewalks, right, going into downtown?
On both sides.
On both sides, okay, good.
Yep.
The trail does go east.
Correct, yep.
This person is asking for what?
A bike path that sounds like parallel to, or the sidewalk becoming a part of the bike path.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's labeled, right, as the Bartlett bike path? I think I've seen signs for that. I don't know, maybe.
That's labeled as the
Formally?
Bartlett Trail there, south of the
Bartlett Trail?
stables.
Okay. So we're talking about extending the Bartlett Trail north via, those are all sidewalks. I don't know if the infrastructure is ready, but this is Main Street, right? So we wouldn't have, or would we be able to do a bike lane or anything like that since there's 2 sidewalks, or is there any other proposals for that?
So South Bartlett Road is under the jurisdiction of DuPage County, so an on-street bike path would be at their discretion. It's a DuPage County truck route, so I highly doubt that they would want on-street bike, a bike lane on there, because there are semis that are going up and down there.
Okay.
Now for the side path, I don't want to say that it's impossible. I think it'd be a lot of coordination between the county, making sure that it would fit, deciding whether you would want that bike path right behind your curb, or if there's room for a little bit of a parkway. So it would also have to be budgeted and planned for. So it's not impossible, but it's a lot of steps along the way.
That would come all the way up here, right? Right steps away.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about it, I would want to keep it on the west side of the street. I would just bring it up, and then there'd be the crossing. You could go east at Devon, hop on the path, and it'll eventually loop back you around to Newport. I was just talking to Terry about this stretch of path on Devon on the south side there. That is a county path. So I have reached out to the county in the past to get it on their radar. for when we widen some of the Newport path and they have the new development there, Devon and Prospect, they're going to be redoing the bike path along their frontage on Devon, so it's match up nicely into that.
It's a great question. It's going to be a tough add, just because of the sidewalk and the proximity to the street. I love the idea.
I think with the new laws coming in too, especially if we're going to prohibit bikes on sidewalks in any fashion, some way to get our residents that live south up to the railroad tracks and potentially to Uptown when the TIF starts would be great. So extend it all the way up to Lake Street would be nice. Okay. Any other comments on that one? I'll cover the second.
Yeah, I can summarize the next email. I want to talk about it further down the agenda when we talk about e-bikes. I wasn't at the meeting on the board meeting on Tuesday when it was briefly discussed, but I did listen to the recording a little bit, so we can talk about that further down the line. But this email, in summary, from Ed Trainer at 904 La Jolla Terrace. In summary, he talks about a lot of the same stuff that we've been talking about for the past year and a half or so. He's on the side of urging the village to align its bike policies with the state, not to adopt anything that differentiates ourselves from our neighbors or from the rest, largely because the state, one of the big intentions of the state passing a law is to remove the discrepancies between neighborhoods. So he's advocating for that. The second piece that he's advocating is also pretty similar to things that we've been talking about this whole time, that a lot of the problems that other local municipalities have had when adopting their own ordinances is they have not made distinguishes between e-bikes and e-motos. E-bikes are well-regulated, are in the system, and again, we'll talk about it a little bit later. E-motos are the things that you think of when someone is maybe complaining about these vehicles. Really, e-motos are what we're really talking about here. And he's, brings up several points about lumping the two together and how negatively impactful that can be to local ridership. I think that's a decent summary, but again, we'll put both of these in verbatim into the record.
All right, thank you, Brian. That sounds good. Do we have anything else for public comment? If not, we'll move on. Oh.
Did we get any updates from Forest Preserve
Yes, we did.
or DuPage County Highway?
The latter two, I don't think so, but the Forest Preserve, yes. So we have tried to been in communication with them for the past couple months or so since our last meeting, since you all requested an update. The reason why we haven't heard from them in a little bit, the person that we were in previous contact with no longer works there. And so they were also trying to figure out who would be the person to do more of the local outreach stuff. Just today, I got a phone call back from Kevin Horsfall, the Director of Planning and Development at the DuPage County Forest Preserve. I would normally have something a little bit cleaner, but I just have my notes here from this conversation. It was only a few hours ago, so I'll do my best to summarize what he was talking about. The big news is obviously with all the storms that have been happening over the past, not just this past weekend, but all of the weekends that we've had, particularly in Bartlett, but all over the county. They're working really hard to deal with the storm damage. He said that a lot of their work is doing initial inspections, and on the initial inspections, doing really quick fills to find the ankle breaker potholes, and then they'll mark it, come back in for resurfacing later on. They should be getting all of that done within the next week or so, which I think is very impressive. They are specifically looking at is it Wayne Woods on the southeast side? I'm hoping I get the name of the park. Is it Wayne Woods? He's looking specifically at that area, or the organization is looking specifically at that area, because he was concerned and has seen this in other areas of the county of fallen trees, not only the ones that have already fallen, but particularly old growth trees that have been negatively impacted by the storms but haven't fallen yet. And so he wants to urge people to be very aware of their surroundings, particularly when pedaling in very dense areas. That could be quite dangerous. In addition to working on the already fallen trees and refilling any damage to the paths themselves, they're also doing investigations on trees like that are potentially very dangerous. So part of his message was to urge people to be very cautious, particularly after storms like the ones we've had. I think those are the big ones. He did also mention construction of a bridge that's over Roosevelt, quite a bit farther south on the West Branch Trail. It's a 900-foot path that goes over Roosevelt and the river, connecting two of their paths. That could be a very that would connect two areas that are quite separate from each other, so that could be very positive. Roosevelt is obviously quite a major road. It could also positively impact Bartlett, being that people from farther south would be able to make that once construction's complete. I think that's it. Oh, sorry, and construction is estimated to be completed summer of '27 for the bridge.
That's down in Warrenville area?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't as familiar with the project when we were first talking about it, but yes, I
It actually completes the West Branch. Yeah, it completes the West Branch Trail, and it completes their network. So it's a fantastic
Yeah.
final piece. So, great.
Awesome.
Glad they've started it.
And I think that's it. And again, hopefully we'll have something in writing next time that could be better summarized than what I wrote down during our phone call.
Fair enough. All right, thank you, Brian.
Well, thank you.
All right, if there's nothing else, let's go to old business, 4A's Park District update. You ready to do that? Go ahead now. Welcome.
Kim Dasbach, Superintendent of Recreation at the Bartlett Park District. From the last meeting, Kelly O'Brien reported that we are mimicking the flyer that Terry noted in our annual brochures, minus the winter season right now, unless winter warrants it. We would be happy to put it in too. So as changes are being made to the village's information, we want to make sure to mimic that, and we have put up different flyers in our lobby, so if there's anything else that you guys can think of that we can do to help with education or anything like that, we are open and willing to help and making Bartlett safer. Otherwise, we don't have any other updates unless there are any questions for the Park District.
Do you know when the magazines are published? Is there one coming out for fall pretty soon?
Yes, I just received mine at home today, so everybody should
Fall?
be getting them within the next couple of days.
Okay, so the one for winter would probably be,
One for winter gets delivered in November. We're gonna start working on that in about 3 weeks, so.
Does the one delivered today have this in it?
It doesn't have that. We had kinda done a little abbreviated version of it, but, getting the key points across and.
yeah, that was awesome. I was trying to coordinate what's happening with this January 1st state law and all the information we're trying to do, and when you're publishing your magazines, so it's great.
And the Park District would be receptive to, because yes, this is a great bit of information, to post this in the Park District facilities, and maybe someday we can get the signs to do this on paths, because yes, it's all about education, it's all about promotion, and this is good enough for somebody hopefully to understand that these are just the basic rules. Thank you.
And now that you mentioned that, I did have one posted, and I just walked by there today and looked at the flyers, and that one was not up there, so if I could get one from the village so we can make more copies and make sure it is up there, that would be
That'd
fantastic.
be great, thank you. And every facility would be perfect.
We can do that.
Thank you.
For the, one more question. So 4th of July, of course, was last weekend. Have we ever done any bike sort of campaign to get people to bike to the fest instead of bringing cars? And I'm actually curious, the bike lock facility that happens to be at the park, at BCC particularly, or maybe up by Jim Jensen Pavilion, like if folks wanted to bring their bikes to the fest, is there something there, or maybe something next year that we could improve on to help?
That would be the 4th of July committee working with the Park District, but we do have a lot of bike racks by
Up by the-
Barracuda Bay Aquatic Water Park. So I would imagine if people were riding their bikes, that's what they would currently use, being familiar with Bartlett.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know as far as if the committee has ever discussed that.
Okay.
I've seen other examples of areas where the Boy Scouts will secure a bike corral for the duration of the day. And
Similar to National Night Out, is that still what is done at that event, I believe?
Okay, maybe that might be a good idea to bring that forward in 4th of July.
That's a good idea. I was thinking through some of the communications that we did for 4th of July, especially with the Hanover Park, or our Hanover Township, doing the bus between our railroad parking and BCCs. Anything to help get a big crowd in. Of course, this year was complicated, but next year's coming soon, so.
But yes, I can definitely mention that to my team and coworkers, so we can be a little forward thinking on that too. But if we can also maybe communicate with the committee, that would be great
Yeah.
as well.
I will. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
There used to be a National Night Out ride called the Mayor's Ride from the community center all the way to the park. And of course, the Boy Scouts had a corral. When the store was open, I used to hand out maps. And of course, everybody goes, oh, it's a map, oh. And the map started the conversation. All of a sudden started, bicycle. Right here, right there. National Night Out is a good place to start.
That's a good idea, too. All right, thank you. Next is bike path maintenance update. Nick, I think you'll handle that.
I want to apologize to the committee. Everything that you are reading in front of you on the memo, it still holds true, but I have some updates that didn't make it into the packet, so I just want to touch upon some of those updates there.
Okay.
So the Naperville Road crossing and the path underneath Route 59, everything is in for permitting right now with the Army Corps and the state of Illinois. All of those permits have been submitted. Last we checked, or last we heard from the developer, beginning of June, we were third in line for review. Right now, we're in the process of getting a meeting together between us, the designers, D.R. Horton, the developer, the Park District, to coordinate one more time, make sure that we're all on the same page, we know where everything is at, and then, clarify the path moving forward for what we anticipate construction to be in the springtime next year. So start of the path leading up to the underpass, and then the path through the northeast corner of West Bartlett and 59 through that wooded area. That'll be a Park District path. So we're trying to coordinate that a little bit further too, but that's where the path stands right now. It's great that the permits are in, just waiting for reviews and just working towards those permits.
Who do you anticipate is going to provide funding / majority of funding for that? The state or the developer? Hard to say.
Well, I know the developer is on the, I don't know all the numbers, but I know the developer was only on the hook for a very small portion of that. I know they've gone after funding from Cook County, which I believe we have won, some of the Invest in Cook grants for the underpass portion of that. And then it's the developer's responsibility to, build it. Did that answer your question enough?
Kind of. I guess we just have to go further along in the process for get the permits.
Yeah, the construction is going to be coming out of the village funding. That's why we're looking for grants from the county or however we can get it.
Okay, thank you.
Does that include what's happening at Naperville Road crossing?
That,
I thought I saw them doing some work there the other day.
yeah, so the gates, Metro's installing the gates, and then as part of the permitting for that, all the permitting that just went in, there's a creek just south of the tracks there, so they are permitting the bridge through the Army Corps. There's a pedestrian bridge that's gonna need to go over that creek and then bring us up to the ped gate there. There's a little bit of an easement issue for the escape route at that ped gate that they're working through, but we're also gonna be talking about that at that next meeting that we have with everybody. So I do anticipate the gates being done with no path leading up to it just now, but I think it's a win that the gates are in. That's step number one, and, the path will follow.
Has there been any talk about because on the north side of that, right, just north of the tracks, it dips down really low? Are they gonna elevate that up, the path?
Yeah, so when all is said and done, the path will be continuous up to the townhomes there.
Yeah, no, I guess my point is it drops really, really low on the other side of the tracks.
Oh, they'll reprofile it and make it a nice ride. I don't think they're.
Or is that filled with water every time it rains?
Yeah, they'll be working on the drainage. I'm sure there'll be culverts or ditches, and they'll get everything to go where it needs to go.
There's progress there.
And then currently staff is working on paving West Bartlett Road between where IDOT left off a couple years ago, right at Maryville. They're gonna take that all the way up to Devon. They've been working on that in their spare time. Not sure if it's 100% complete, but that's one of the stretches that they have been working on this year. And one of the other updates that some of the other questions from the last meeting, we haven't really heard anything about the West Bartlett and 25 grants that are supposedly there for the intersection improvement out there. So I'm not quite sure where that lies in the federal government, but we haven't heard anything about that.
That would be the connection by the gas stations by Kohler?
The new gas station.
Yes, it would be part of, they're gonna widen, they're gonna add a couple of right turn lanes and make that pedestrian cross, or that path crossing there on the south side.
We're resurfacing that road right now.
Yeah, Route 25. So we brought it up to, I brought it up to James Stewart, who was the construction area supervisor, and he brought it up to who he could bring it up to, and it wasn't included in that original project. I asked if we could maybe get a little bit of the pre-work done for the crossing signals, but it wasn't budgeted for as part of that project. So
Yeah, I know that's a little bit out of Bartlett's area, but South Elgin High School, we have no connection to them. If any of our children need to go back and forth without a car, it's rather difficult, so.
Sure.
I'm just thinking about the sidewalks that go on the south side, I suppose, by Duncan. There's not much to get you over to South Elgin.
the cleanest path would
Kenyon
be to
for
go
that
up
matter.
Miles Parkway to Kenyon, but I don't believe I'm not sure if there's anything on the west side of 25 there at Kenyon.
Yeah,
Because I think you go a little further west down Kenyon, that's where South Elgin High School is.
yeah. Okay.
And that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
All right, thank you, Nick. Any questions on that?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Next up, 4C is e-bike regulations update. I think, Brian, you're going to cover this?
Yeah.
I started to
so-
talk about it.
Yeah, so if we would like to talk about the board, I think what the conversation was on Tuesday, if anyone is unfamiliar, we could do that in just a second. What I want to talk about first, though, is we've talked before about the state passing new legislation, that if that ends up coming to fruition, that'll be very exciting. But I want to talk about what is actually in it and whether or not that is aligns with what we were thinking about before. Any conversations about, I know on Tuesday we were talking about, or they were talking about passing something sooner. The effective date of this bill would be January 1st. Passing something sooner or passing something that's different than this bill, those are conversations that would have to happen between the police department and legal, where our options are with that. But as of right now, if this bill were to pass and get signed, I want to talk about what exactly is in that and whether or not that assuages some of our concerns. I believe the timeline, can I have my memo? I believe it's currently in Senate concurrence, which means that it passed the Senate, it went to the House added a few amendments, it passed there, but then it has to go back to the Senate to make sure that the Senate concurs with what the amendments that the House added before it then goes to Pritzker's desk. I don't have any more updates than that. That was a while ago. I think that was a couple months ago when it got brought to Senate concurrence. Oh, May 28th. Okay, so that was not that long ago. But regardless of when he signs it, if he signs it, somewhat soon, again, January 1st of next year would be that timeline. Let's go through this first. So purposes, the biggest thing by far is providing that statewide consistency. It's been an issue since all these municipalities have been passing more and more. If you remember, maybe a year ago, we sent out a survey of different municipalities, what options they were considering, whether or not they had or hadn't passed any new regulations, and the big summary of that survey was that it's all over the place. This would provide a great deal of consistency and making it so that if you're biking from path to path, such as along the Illinois Prairie Path or along DuPage Forest Preserve paths, and want to go explore these different towns, you're not going to inadvertently break some rules as you enter in a new town. If everything's all the same, that makes it a lot easier, particularly for law enforcement, but also for bikers, right? The other big issue that we talked about with the current e-bike regulations is that e-motos are in this big gray area. Without being defined, without having any kind of restrictions on them, it means that it's not clear at all. I'm not going to talk about it in here because that's not really it doesn't really pertain all that much to Bartlett police enforcement, but this bill would also allow the state some capacity to enforce manufacturing restrictions. And one of the issues that we talked about was e-motos can very easily be marketed as e-bikes. And so a parent thinks, oh, I'm going to buy an e-bike for my kid, but instead you buy something that could go 30 miles an hour and is not an e-bike at all. Those are the biggest things that this would do, and is sort of the purpose behind it. Go ahead. I don't want to go over what the current e-bike laws are again. But I think I have to a little bit. There are 3 classes of e-bikes. These all are required to have a sticker that they are kept on the bike. 1, 2, and 3 have varying levels of speed capacity. The big rule now is that these are not allowed on sidewalks, but for the Class 3 e-bike, which is the biggest and fastest, or potentially fastest, is restricted to ages 16 and up. The only thing that this new bill will change for e-bikes specifically is that now Classes 1 and 2 would also be restricted, or rather would be restricted to ages 15 and up. That's the only thing that changes. It doesn't change the class structure. It doesn't change whether or not they're permitted on sidewalks. They're still permitted on bike paths. They're still permitted on the roads. But it's just an age restriction that was only for Class 3, would now be expanded to Class 1 and 2. Nothing else would change for e-bikes themselves. But for e-motos, right now, e-motos are not permitted on sidewalks or bike paths. They are permitted on the road. That is still not changing. That has been the case. That will continue to be the case. The big change, though, and I think this would be pretty significantly impactful, particularly if the main complaints about e-bikes are the age of the people riding them. E-motos, which again are anything that's not an e-bike, would require a driver's license, would require title registration and insurance. Or I don't believe insurance is true, but title license and registration for all these vehicles, and then state DUI laws apply to riders of e-motos. This would be pretty significant, right? We're not just talking about an age thing. Needing a driver's license for a vehicle that oftentimes can look like a bike that would be it's a pretty dramatic departure from what we have now, but is consistent with other e-bike and e-moto laws across the country. So this is catching Illinois up to where technology is currently at. Something that we haven't really, go ahead.
The M-class driver's license, which is motorcycle 18 and up.
That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to that. It either is that or it creates another one just like it. This is something that we haven't really talked about in the past, about scooters, the unicycle looking things, electric skateboards. We haven't really talked about those in the past, but the Senate bill also clarifies that. So right now they're not really well defined, but if this bill were to pass, all riders on these must be 16 or up. They can be on bike paths and sidewalks, so that differentiates them a little bit from e-motos, but they can't operate over a certain speed on those. And so it's effectively a speed limit on these devices on the roads, bike paths, and sidewalks. And again, state DUI laws would apply to these vehicles. You can go back. I believe that is it for the new bill. If you have any questions about that.
Thank you for that, Brian. Any other comments or questions on this?
I think, again, and this is Barry's discussion for a year and a half, maybe two, is now we have a template. Let's not make it complicated. The police are going to have enough of an issue trying to enforce it. At a board meeting, this needs to be brought up. And they're going to change it, the state will change it, that's what happens. But we need a template. We have it.
Are you suggesting adopting the same?
I am suggesting adopting it, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, let's stay in line with the state. Let's not make
Yeah.
our own. But I think, to Barry's point, we've taken the steps to really align with the Illinois state regulations and the Senate bills.
I think a lot of our constituents are worried about what's going to happen this summer and not wait until next summer to have this template. I think that was what the mayor was trying to speak to on Tuesday, because we did have some folks come in and talk about it.
It's important, the accidents are out there, and the police, if we could ever, if they could spend a few minutes with us, maybe in the next meeting, give us some data on how many accidents they've seen, not necessarily only in Bartlett, but in a broader range, maybe Schaumburg, things like that, because the accidents are happening. And we already know that, I believe it was in Rolling Meadows, there was a death that occurred early this year. So we need enforcement, or we need regulations to hopefully get the people to follow them. And enforcement, again, that's always been the big question.
One thing that I will be curious about in the enforcement area is whether or not it will be, I'm probably going to mince the words, but it's state enforced or municipally, that's not the word I'm looking for. If they will have to come to our court system here, or if they will have to, if anyone who infringes upon this and is enforced or gets a citation, if it's going to be a state citation that they have to go to Rolling Meadows and defend themselves, or if they can come here and be in front of our local judge who's.
I believe the intent is for it to operate similar to motor enforcement, that they are able to do it here as long as we adopt.
Good question.
So it would be a municipal citation.
Municipal citation.
That's what I was trying to verbalize. Okay. So as long as that's there and there's no gotchas in some of these classes or types of enforcement that would eventually end up with a state citation, I don't know if that's what we want to do, is especially if it's juveniles. You know, someone who is less than 14 and is on a Class 1 e-bike should not be going to Rolling Meadows Court to pay a fine. So, but some of that I think has to be figured out over the next 9 months.
Yeah. And hopefully, I think more than anything, like Barry's point has been this whole time, I hopefully this is the easiest way for us to clarify so that people know what the rule is. Because I think a lot of times it's not necessarily an intentional, like we're getting away with something or we're intentionally breaking the rules. I think it might oftentimes be I'm buying my kid an e-bike, but they don't know that's not an e-bike, or they don't know that it's not permitted. It just looks like a fun vehicle that, we'll let them take out. But to clarify exactly what these three classes are and what age it is you're allowed to be able to ride them, I think is probably the most helpful thing that this bill does, is just clarifying everything. And it makes it easier for us from a communication standpoint, because this whole time we've been trying to emphasize exactly what the current e-bikes are, or the current e-bike rules are, but we have to pull our punches a little bit because we don't know what the state rules are going to be. But if we know and we have the answers, then it becomes all the more easier to have clarity in our communications.
Can I assume that if this does pass, that we would update this document?
Certainly.
The ages down here and the differentiation between e-moto and e-bike and the micromobility, I like that term, That's new, but.
Yeah, certainly. And in fact, I think we would redo the whole thing. There's no need to, because I believe we made that using an old state law packet that they had sent out, and we redid it, made it Bartlett coded, but yeah, I think we'd be able to completely redo it. And now we'd also have state resources, because the state is also, as part of the Secretary of State's announcement, this is not part of the bill, but they would be directing funding towards education programs. They would be trying to get people out in schools, like I think we mentioned before, just educating particularly children, but everyone about what the rules are. So I think all of the materials that we've made can all be greatly supplemented once we have the solid, like, this is what the rules are.
I know we've been hesitant to make permanent type signs for this exact reason, but if this does pass, that I would imagine maybe we could get some permanent signs, and not just paper, hung up at all the park district facilities, but like actual signs on the path.
I think
Maybe, from the
We've
street
got a
one
sign
day.
machine.
We have a sign, I know, but we've been hesitant because it's,
We can unscrew the old sign, put a new one on, take a couple hours.
Yeah, I think those conversations certainly become easier
yeah.
once
Okay,
it's we're advertising about a state law rather than our own. It becomes easier for sure.
good. Awesome.
Okay, anything else on e-bikes? Thank you for that. Let's move on to the last old business. 4D is public awareness campaign. I'm not sure, is this you again, Brian?
That's me again.
Okay, go ahead.
I think we can blow through these. I don't know. If you'd like, we can talk about each individual post. We made 4 posts. We included what the analytics were for each of those posts. Some of them were better than others. The best one we had, I think, was maybe the next one, the next slide. Nope, one after that. 100,000 views on one of the posts. This one was specifically about the Senate unanimously passing the Bill 3336. I think this is some interesting information. I don't know enough about social media management to know what to do with some of these analytics, but we've got our admin department very capably handling this kind of thing. So we've got lots of interactions on it, lots of comments, lots of shares and views from both non-followers of our platform and followers, which I think is also a sign of how well spread it is. So if you'd like, I can go through each individual post, but they're all relatively around the topic of bikes and bike safety and e-bike news and all that.
I just love the fact that this last one here has 107,000 views.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's incredible.
I think something like that will certainly happen once the bill passes. Then we'll have okay, this is big news. We want to make sure that everyone in town is aware of this, and so we'll more so, because this is certainly a campaign. We want to make sure that people are aware of this information. But that's a newsworthy event that we want to make sure we're all on the same page and really making a big deal out of it, because it is.
Are these metrics public, or is this just what you've gathered?
Ooh, that's a good question. I did not personally gather them. It was. You have something?
No, I don't think these metrics to the right are public metrics. I'm sure you can see, I don't know Facebook. Yeah, I think you're able to see how many people viewed it and liked it and the reactions and all that, but,
For this one, we got 90 comments. Someone's rolling through those to figure out if there's negative sentiment or positive sentiment.
Maybe. I don't know what sort of policies we have about engaging in the comments like that. I could check, but that's up with Ricci and admin.
Okay. These are following the same rules as everything else that we're posting on social media.
Who actually put this out there?
I believe it's the admin department and
Okay.
Ricci. You guys met Ricci at some point. She was down here to talk to us. Yeah, I believe it's her.
yep.
That post. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the comments would be interesting.
Yeah.
So if we could get a run-up of those, that'd be great. Or at least maybe, 100 of them. Because I'm sure they're all snippets, they're all one sentence, two sentence. good, bad, and different.
The other two articles didn't really get a lot of comments, but we're getting a lot of sentiment here with emails and all of us, but this is our community, right? So,
Or at least a representation of it, for sure. You want to be careful about social media a little bit.
Here's what the sentiment is with all those 90 comments. Is it positive? Is it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, if it's super negative too, I'm sure that our admins would step in and respond
Well, if it gets,
out of control.
feisty, yeah. But, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just curious what, like, the public is thinking, because we have our opinions, right? But this is great.
Okay. Well, thank you for putting those together. That's wonderful. Anything else on public awareness? A campaign for that?
Keep pushing, keep getting it out there. Again, it's something that it's brand new to everyone, and we see them riding their scooters all over the place and their e-bikes, and it's just education, it's awareness. And that's why this type of information out there on Facebook, because I think that's the main generator for the village. Just get it out there. And that may not even be the right avenue to choose, but it's a start.
Thank you, Barry. Is there any new business that we want to talk to that we have not already covered? If not, I think I will get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second that?
All right, motion by John, second by Barry. Need a roll call. Go ahead. Real formal.
Barry Kroll,
Yes.
John Getz,
Yes.
John Bedham.
Yes, thank you very much. We are adjourned.